Hello everyone, and welcome to this explainer. If you've been feeling totally overwhelmed lately, I want you to look at today's concept not like you're trying to paint this flawless, museum-quality masterpiece of a routine. Think of it more like a simple pencil sketch. We are literally just sketching out a rough, super low-stakes baseline for your day to combat stress. It doesn't need to be perfectly framed, right? It just needs to be there.
So let me ask you right off the bat, can you spare just 10 minutes? I know. When we're drowning in stress, even 5 minutes feels like a luxury we can't afford. But let's be real for a second. Those traditional hour-long wellness routines, the hardcore gym sessions or hour-long meditation retreats, for most of us, those actually just add way more stress to an already chaotic schedule. If your days are constantly shifting around, trying to wedge a massive rigid time commitment into your planner is just setting yourself up for failure. This incredibly low-barrier challenge, just 10 little minutes, is built specifically for people who simply cannot add one more heavy obligation to their plate.
Okay, let's dive into this. Why only 10 minutes? Why not 20 or a solid half hour? Well, the logic behind this specific microhabit is all about directly supporting your main goal, which is reducing stress. Think about it. When your schedule is all over the place, maybe your work hours are erratic or the kids' soccer practice gets moved again, a tiny time commitment is infinitely easier to sneak in than a rigid block of time. 10 minutes is basically the ultimate prescription because it completely bypasses that mental resistance we all feel when we're exhausted.
Now, the beauty here is the perfect balance we're striking. On one hand, 10 minutes is actually long enough to have a noticeable calming effect on your nervous system. It's enough time to step back and literally feel a physical difference. But, on the flip side, it is short enough that you can sustain it daily. And this really highlights the absolute sweet spot required for a lasting habit. You get that immediate, physiological relief you desperately need without it turning into this heavy scheduling burden that you just end up dreading.
So what exactly are we doing with these 10 precious minutes? Well, the prescription here is what we call the mindful walking method. We're going to transition into the exact step-by-step execution of this daily walk. Consider this your foolproof blueprint. Whether you're a busy professional, stressed out student, an exhausted parent, this is for you. It's incredibly simple, but trust me, the specific rules are exactly what make it so effective.
Let's break down the rules of engagement. First up, you've got to pick one reliable trigger to anchor the habit. Now, this shouldn't be a specific time on the clock. It needs to be an event that happens every single day no matter what, like right after lunch, the second you finish work, or maybe just before dinner. Second, and guys, this is absolutely non-negotiable, you walk entirely without checking your phone. The phone stays in your pocket, or honestly, better yet, leave it on your desk. Finally, while you're out there, you actively choose to focus your attention on either your breathing or your immediate environment.
Now, if you choose to focus on your surroundings, there is this incredibly powerful sensory grounding technique you can use to gently shift your attention away from all those racing thoughts. I want you to literally step through this as you walk. Take it slow. First, notice 5 things you can see around you. A tree, a cloud, maybe a specific building. Then, notice 4 things you can physically feel. The wind on your face, or just the solid ground beneath your feet. Next, tune in and notice 3 things you can hear. Then, try to identify 2 things you can smell in the air. And finally, notice 1 thing you can taste. This 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method acts as an anchor. It pulls you completely into the present moment and far away from that chaotic to-do list.
So, the crucial point is what happens when you get back. As you walk back through your front door, ask yourself this one very simple question. Do I feel even 5% calmer than before? Remember our pencil sketch metaphor from earlier? We are not aiming for perfection here. We are definitely not aiming for a 100% Zen-like state of enlightenment. We literally just want to notice the difference. If you are just a tiny, noticeable 5% calmer, that walk was a complete, absolute success.
Right, so now that we know what to do, how do we make sure we actually keep doing it day after day? Let's pivot to the retention strategy. I absolutely love this part, because building a habit isn't really about willpower at all. It's about strategy. We are going to bulletproof this new routine against all the inevitable chaos of your daily life so that it practically runs on autopilot.
Check out the immense forgiveness built into this routine. It's a real game changer. First, use a visual cue. Just keep your walking shoes right out in the open where you will trip over them at your trigger time. Second, if you miss a day, which will happen, do not punish yourself by trying to make up for it. No double walks, just let it go and try again the next day. And look at what we're tracking. We are only tracking whether you actually showed up. We are completely 100% ignoring metrics like how far you walked or how fast you went. Just showing up is the whole shebang. Consistency is literally the only metric of success here.
Let's move to and see how this builds over time.
Day 1, that is simply about showing up. But by week 2, you hit a real milestone. This is when you'll start getting a much better sense of whether this daily habit is actually lowering your baseline stress. Check in with yourself. If it's working, and if stepping out for those 10 minutes starts to feel just entirely effortless, well then in week 3 and beyond, you can start extending the walk to 15 or 20 minutes. You could even add some light stretching. But, and this is a big rule, only scale up when the 10 minutes feels like second nature.
But hey, let's live in the real world for a second, right? We have to empathetically acknowledge that unpredictable, messy days are going to happen. There will be days when a massive rainstorm rolls in, or you're stuck inside waiting for an important delivery, or maybe you just aren't feeling well, and walking outside is literally not practical. And this is exactly where we introduce our crucial backup plans to keep that habit loop totally intact.
If walking is impossible, you don't just abandon the whole habit for the day. No way. Instead, you turn to a close alternative. You can swap in 10 minutes of quiet breathing or maybe 10 minutes of gentle stretching. The absolute key here, the secret sauce, is that you do this alternative at the exact same trigger time you established earlier. Why? Because the consistency of the habit matters so much more than the specific activity itself. Showing up for your nervous system at that specific trigger point is what actually cements the habit in your brain.
So, we've sketched out the plan, it's low stakes, it's totally achievable, and it only asks for 10 minutes of your busy day. So, I want to leave you with this final, really vital question to chew on right now. What will your reliable trigger be today? Is it going to be right after you finish your lunch? Is it that exact moment you slam your laptop shut for the day? Pick it right now in your head. Commit to that simple little pencil sketch of a habit, leave your phone behind, and go see if you can feel just 5% calmer. You've totally got this. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will catch you next time.